What is up, YouTube? Uh, Today's video, I'm not gonna make one about Call of Duty. Okay, there's not much to say about this game, but uh, I make some videos about that and guns and stuff. But right now, I'm gonna turn the topic to a review of my first CS game that I've beaten. I've completely beaten this game except for one enemy boss, super boss. I would put him in the category of. Uh, so I think I can review it pretty well. The game is called Revenant Wings by Square Inc. I don't know who else is involved in it. So it's really other people too, but companies, whatever. But this is a sequel to Final Fantasy 12. Follows the theme of real time, uh, time passing in the game since the last game. The game came out a year after Final Fantasy 12 did, and the story takes place a year after Final Fantasy 12 did. And I know they're pretty committed to the real life time. When games come out, there's literally the amount of time that's passed since the last game, as if it's like its own thing that's been passing like real life does, which is kind of weird, but makes it easy to remember, I guess. And it is kind of cool and stuff because and the characters even age and stuff as well, as I said. But if it's been like a long enough period. But anyways, so this game takes place. Uh, One thing about this game that seems kind of odd is there's no voice acting in it. I played the entire Final Fantasy series. Yeah, the entire main series. The only games that they didn't have on PSN Network were Final Fantasy 10, 11, uh, and I think that's it. And 12, maybe like the PS2 games. So they didn't have those on, but I replayed them anyways when they came out. So that was a problem or anything. Uh, and one thing I noticed about all the games is all the way up to 9, they don't have voice acting in them, which I read in the wiki and I was like, really, voice acting? But that's apparently true. Uh, None of them do, which seems kind of weird. It's all like music and there's singing in some of them, like in Final Fantasy 4, there's like humming, and after years there's humming, and in 9 there's like singing with words, but there's no voice acting. So that seems kind of odd, but that's what Revenant Wings is. You, it's a DS game, and I know they can put voice acting in DS games because Crystal Chronicles has voice acting, and so I know that hardware-wise they could do it, but this game doesn't. But I totally use the same characters anyways for who will voice them, in my head. So I'm a good reader and everything. So yeah, that was a problem. But it kind of made me wonder if the voice people even knew about the game, in the first place, or their characters or whatever, because they weren't involved in it. And but this game takes place in it takes place above what is the place called, dude? What is the land called that they're in? Uh, I don't know how I blank on that, but it's the location that's in Tactics. It's the location that's in 12, and yeah, I can't picture it. But wherever 12 took place in Tactics stuff, it takes place above that in the clouds, and the style of it is a lot like what iOS games would be like. It's on the wiki, and after playing, I I agree with that you can play the whole game using a touchpad, and just by touching the screen, which seems odd because you don't need any buttons or anything. And that is true, but one button that you really, really would miss is X. X is a really good button that takes all of your troops, all of your espers, and has them all do the same thing. So, you totally miss X. I had my finger on X the whole time, awkwardly. you know, if you don't use X, you have to highlight everyone on the screen. You have to like do kind of like a click and then make a box and then put everyone in the box and stuff. So, there's that, and oh, the setting is Evilise. It's Evilise. It takes place above that, in the clouds. You begin as like Vaughn and all the known characters. The other characters join later. So you do get a really big cast in. You can only have 5 people though on your team. So you do have to exclude people sometimes as you progress, but that's usually not an issue. Um, what else? Yeah, there's a really cool like storyline, everything obviously. Uh, like I predicted, the word Revenant has nothing to do with the game. There's no undead creatures in this game, and Revenant means undead. So I think it's just a placeholder word in the game. There's no undead things. There's nothing. Well, there are some undead creatures in Eagles because you do return to Mount Burm Amisa, Amisas, I guess. So that's the only undead thing in the game now. One thing that was kind of cool in the game was they take elements. And water has been willingly snubbed from a lot of games. The element of water as being a lethal attack against enemies has been really snubbed from the game. In 12, there was only water. There wasn't any other greater water spells than just water. Uh, in this game, they did something kind of interesting where they have the water uh, icon, or they don't. Yeah, they have water as being a weakness, but ice is also like water. So they made ice and water the same thing, basically, which actually makes sense because then water doesn't get snubbed and ice doesn't get snubbed. You know, water is a weakness symbol and ice is what your attack looks like. So that's pretty cool. I actually felt bad for water throughout the series. So they did kind of throw like a water ice combination thing in there, so you can't complain about water. You know, if there's an ice sword, it's like water and ice blade. So that's pretty cool what they did there. There's lots of summons, which is cool. They take basically like every summon throughout the series and put them in this game. There's tons and tons of summons that you can use. And there's 3 attack styles that are kind of cool, which I still don't really get, but I guess one like counters the other. There's range, melee, and flying, and they compare it to rock paper scissors. They said that range will counter. I thought it was like range counter range at first, but I don't know. I didn't beat the game. I didn't even know that. I knew I would beat the game and I didn't even know stuff. And I guess range counters like melee or flying. And I seriously don't know, but it's not the same thing countering the same thing. You know, you have to have a different type if you want to deal the most damage. Maybe it's just like any type by itself dealing the most, but I'm not really sure. To be honest. So yeah, there's also lots of summons. I played the whole series, and there's some summons that were in the main series, and they fit in like a bunch of them too. So I think they have like almost all of them. They have all the ones from 12 in there, and they did bring back the mission system too, where you can do missions, but it's much easier. There's no rare game, thank God. That was the most annoying thing in 12 ever. So, and the missions are a lot easier. The missions are probably like half as annoying, and there's like less than half as many as a rare game. And it kind of tells you used to go to a person, and they would give you like info on where the monster was, and then but they're very vague descriptions. In this game, it just immediately takes you to the monster, and then before every battle like area you go into, you can set up your team and you can even save. So, and the save option is because if you are in the storyline and you fight like one battle, there may be a second one, and if you want to turn off your system, then there's no way to save as you're playing, and you can't pause the menu as you're playing, and you can pause just to stop, but it doesn't help with any kind of strategy. It doesn't help like slow down the game or anything. There's no game speed. So pausing the game is something I rarely did, unless actually it's like leave and do something. You know, I didn't even do it to like think really, maybe like a little bit, but so you can't do much in the pause menu. So it does let you save and do all this other stuff, which is good if you're in a storyline and if you're right before like a really hard enemy and stuff. So it's cool that it does that, but at the same time, it's kind of like Dissidia, how it breaks up the flow of the game a little bit. Like sometimes I don't really need to plan like characters and stuff because it does let you do it on the map. So I say like why not do it on the map and then you can just immediately like begin the battle and stuff. It doesn't mess with the flow and stuff. And I named Dissidia, it reminds me of that because you touch the character's pawn, the mannequin, and then you have to see a stat screen first instead of just fight them. In the main series, when you touch an enemy or you're engaged in a battle, you just immediately fight them. And I kind of like that flow a little bit better, but I guess kind of like in the city, like unless the enemy's really hard, I don't really care if their stats are, you know. So or maybe it would like only show it for like really hard enemies, or maybe the second time you fight them. Because if you die, then it should show the stats. Because there's no penalty for dying, really in Duodecima. There is in Dissidia a little bit. You could lose like 10 points or something of just your battle, whatever points. But in Duodecima, there's really no reason to see their stats or anything. So or to retry battles. So I almost want to just like I don't know, that would speed things up a little bit, but so it does feel like a lot like a kind of like planned sequel-ish game. It doesn't have like a big, the flow seems kind of messed up, but yeah, the missions are cool. I like how it actually takes you to the place where the mission is, and then if you after the mission, you're at the place where you did the mission, but you even if you can fly to it, so it kind of seems odd that like you won't know like where you are sometimes because after a mission, so it's better to do a bunch of missions in a row, and then when you're done, you can whatever. Uh, yeah, so it was a pretty good game. The characters in themselves are I don't know what you'd call it. I think they're called like fairies or something. If anyone's played like Super Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo, I've heard of it, but I haven't played it. I think I had like a manual, even though I've like never owned it, which seems weird. But there was a Super Mario RPG from I think from like the 90s, from like the early 90s, I guess, or mid 90s, and maybe they're trying to compete with Final Fantasy or something back then. But the characters in it seem kind of like weird, pixely and crap, and that's kind of what this reminds me of. The cutscenes are really cool though; those are like way higher graphics and stuff. But then during the cutscenes, the characters look kind of like clay-like and kind of odd in that sense. The characters look way different, and I find myself looking at their profile pics a lot more often in cutscenes than the actual characters because they look kind of pixely and kind of odd and stuff. And they do like that walking in place thing, like in Tactics, where they just like walk in place until you make them move, which seems kind of odd, you know. But you can move in towns with the joystick. There is one town you can go into, and you don't battle or anything. You go around and talk to people and stuff. And that's kind of Skybriar's kind of like home area. Skybriar's kind of like home area, and that you can walk around and talk to people and stuff. And that is like the only town, I guess, in the game. So, and you do play as Vaughn. Vaughn's kind of like the main character again, like it was in 12. So, you don't have to do that system. You don't walk around town just having to choose your next destination or anything. So generally, it's a pretty good game. It keeps turning off the TV. Keep pausing the TV. What? Unpause the TV. If you can pause, I might just end this video. You need a break or something slow.